So at just 16 years old, she's already being heralded as Rising Star of 2025 by CinemaCon and was honored with a Fangoria Chainsaw Award. She's delivered emotionally powerful and unforgettable performances in horror favorites like The Black Phone, which earned her a Saturn Award nomination. She's been featured in Disney's Secrets of Sulphur Springs, Marvel's Ant-Man and the Wasp, Clint Eastwood's Oscar-winning American Sniper, the Oscar-winning Toy Story 4, and Cars 3. She returns to the big screen October 17th for Black Phone 2. Let's welcome Madeline McGraw, everybody. Already taken over the industry by storm at 14 years old, she brings an intense sensitivity and effortless authenticity to every moment of everything she does on screen. Getting her start with an appearance in Steven Spielberg's Ready Player One, she went on to make a monumental impact in Mike Flanagan's multi-award-winning masterpiece, The Haunting of Hill House, William Brent Bell's Separation, Dr. Sleep, The Life of Chuck, Black Widow, and Thunderbolts from Marvel, as well as Megan and Megan 2.0. Give it up for Violet McGraw. And finally, at only 21, already a powerhouse triple threat actor, singer, songwriter, and voice artist from Disney's Vampirina and Sabrina the First, she rose to global prominence as the voice of Megan, instantly turning her into a pop culture icon, not only terrifying and fascinating audiences everywhere, but winning her a Critics' Choice Super Award. The Hollywood Reporter insisting the character of Megan would be nothing without her voice work and unique choices. She continued this trajectory in one of the most anticipated sequels of the decade. Beyond the world of film and TV, she's a gifted singer-songwriter whose debut single surpassed 40 million streams, her EP 12 million, and she just released her full-length debut album, Where Did That Girl Go? Let's give it up for Jenna Davis, everybody. Thank you guys so much for being here. It is so nice to meet all of you. We're huge fans, as well as everybody in this room here. So I just want to get things going by starting about the convention experience for you guys, which it's brought you all together in person.
Yeah.
What has that been like to not only be hanging out so much, but to be able to interact with fans?
It's awesome. It's definitely one of my favorite parts about doing these horror cons is getting to interact with all the fans. Getting to see everyone's costumes is also really, really cool. And yeah, getting to do it all with each other, it's so amazing.
Yeah, I love, like Maddie said, getting to meet a lot of fans, which is super fun. But I also think, is this our first time doing a con, all three of us? So yeah, which is very cool as well. And there's some amazing costumes out there as well.
Yeah, and a lot of awesome memorabilia and really rare items that you guys have brought to our tables that we've never even seen before,
1000%.
which is really cool.
I'm wondering if there's ever been a moment, interaction with a fan, or a story someone walked up to you and shared at a convention, maybe even a small gesture that kind of completely reframed how you think about your roles, or maybe reminded you of the deep impact that these characters have.
For me, I'd say there's two moments. The first one was many fans come up to me and tell me about their experiences when it comes to watching Black Phone with the beating scene.
Yeah.
And it's always a very, very touchy subject and topic to talk about. So hearing how much that scene impacted them and in the right way, and it feels so great when they tell me that it didn't feel like I was mimicking it. It felt like I was actually going through the experience and that they could relate to it in a lot of ways. So that's always very flattering, and I'm very grateful that it came off on screen that way. And then yesterday, the funniest interaction happened with this little boy. I think his name was Kenny. He had a Woody doll, and he wanted to give it to me. He was so little. And then I was like, no, I can't take your toy, I can't take it. And he gave it to me. He walks away and then just starts sobbing. I was like, oh no. And then I gave it back to his mom so she could give it back to him, but it was the cutest little thing ever.
Sure. Yesterday I saw someone have a Megan tattoo.
Oh, wow.
And that was truly, really insane. I had never seen anything like that. Let's see, I think my first con, just made me realize how grateful I am to be a part of a film that people even have products for. To even see a 4-foot live Megan doll in front of us is really surreal, and I think it just reminds me how grateful I am to be a part of a movie that people love so much, but also have such memorabilia and such admiration for. So I think it just reminds me of how, I think it just reminds me of how grateful I am, and how I think for all of us, you know, being in this industry, it can be really beautiful but also really difficult at times, and I think it reminds you of how beautiful it really is and how gifted we are to be in this position.
Yeah. I remember when the first Megan came out and people would come up to me, be like, oh my gosh, I love Megan so much, and it was such a great way to start 2023, and that just made me really happy that I got to be a part of it. And I also love when I get to come to these cons and people make their own Megan dolls, and someone also made like these two little boys made like the perpetual pet, like the pink one that I had in the movie, which was crazy. I don't know how they did that, but that was crazy.
No, I also must say horror fans are, honestly, they are the best fans. They are loyal to a fault, and I swear, like, you guys are out here like watching movies like Terrifier, and everyone's like a teddy bear in real life, so it's awesome.
I know all of you have a huge teenager fan base. What is it like knowing that so many teens look up to you?
Does someone else want to go first? Or so I'll go?
Yeah.
Okay. No, it's definitely very, very cool. It does feel like, I feel a little bit of pressure sometimes because I feel like I have a lot of people looking up to me, so I don't want to let anyone down. But I feel like something I want to inspire younger kids is to keep going and like to keep pushing themselves no matter what, especially because I know a lot of kids want to be actors, and it gets really, really hard, and it is a very chaotic industry. But my best advice would definitely be to focus on yourself. Do not worry about anyone else. Do not compare yourself to anyone else, because everyone has a different path in this industry. Everyone's paths are so, so different, and what's meant for you is meant for you. So just like remember that.
I love, like, because a couple years ago, there's no way I thought that I was gonna have like teens that like follow me and are fans of me, which is crazy. So coming to that now is so cool that I have people that look up to me and watch my films, which is crazy, and are following me along on my journey, which is so cool. So very grateful for all of them.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with what you guys said. I think I agree with Maddie in the sense that there is some form of pressure because you feel the need to always kind of be the best representation of yourself. But I think throughout the years and also through meeting a lot of people, I've learned that there's kind of beauty in imperfection, and that our audiences necessarily don't need us or want us to be perfect. And I think that has relieved a lot of stress on my end and like that pressure point of view. But I think it just feels incredibly surreal that like other kids our age can look at us and be like, oh cool, like that's something that I want to do. But it also just shows that it doesn't matter what age you can start young or old, and if you want to be a part of this industry, there's a path for you. Just as Maddie said, it doesn't matter the time or the place, it's just if it's meant for you. So yeah, I think I try not to see it as pressure or intimidation, but more just excitement, and it's cool that you can see somebody your age and also relate to them and they can relate to you.
Let's go down the line, starting with Madeline. I just wanted to know, what was your earliest memory of being exposed to the horror genre, and how did it make you feel?
Okay, so for me, it was when she was in The Haunting of Hill House, the show on Netflix. I remember I wanted to watch it so badly because she was in it. Our parents would skip through like the scary scenes in the beginning, but then I remember going back and rewatching it when I was like, how old was I? 9, maybe? Sure. Scarred me for life. For years, I was just like, whenever I would lay in bed, I'd just be looking up at my ceiling and I would just picture the bedneck lady. It was terrifying, traumatized me. But hey, now I'm a horror fan and I watch like scary movies at 1 a.m. So, nice. What was like a horror movie that impacted you? Like your earliest?
Well, show Haunting of Hill House for sure, because we wouldn't watch the whole thing because our parents wouldn't let us, because that show still scares me a lot. So we would only watch my parts, but like even my parts are terrifying. And like the bedneck lady is like hanging over me while I'm asleep. So I would say probably The Haunting of Hill House, because I was like 7.
Have you watched the whole thing now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, she's rewatched like the entire.
Yeah,
It's so good.
I'm better now, but I can never watch that show alone, even though I'm in it. It's okay.
I was always super terrified of anything horror related prior to Megan. If anybody would ever told me like when I was younger that I would be a horror villain, I would have been shocked. But the way that Megan came about for me was auditioning for it at my bedroom floor closet, and so I just kind of came up with her on a whim, and it was super duper fun. And it wasn't really until I was a part of the film that I really fell in love with horror, because I got to learn a lot how it worked behind the scenes, so it made watching horror films a little bit less scary for me, because I was always so traumatized. But now, since I kind of know how the behind the scenes works and how there's so many parts that go into it, it makes me feel a little bit less scary. I think also Megan was like the first horror film that I ever watched, and it wasn't as scary for me because I knew it was going on. But post Megan, I opened my eyes to a lot more horror films because I felt a lot more confident. I think Black Phone was actually the first horror film other than Megan that I watched. And then I've watched a ton now because I'm like, oh my goodness, this is really fun. But before I was really terrified. But I don't know about you guys, but I feel like filming it is a lot less scary.
Yes. Way less scary.
100%.
Yeah.
1000%.
Horror is such a huge genre for teens right now. Like, me and my friends love watching scary movies together. From your perspective, what makes horror so exciting to act in compared to other genres?
For me, I think it's because you literally get to do everything. You get to give every different kind of expression. You get to be happy, sad, scared, I don't know, funny. It's like you get to do everything. It's just really fun getting to show that like such a big range of emotion. And I don't know, yeah, you get to just give so many different expressions. It's really fun. And you get to get covered in blood.
Yeah.
And yeah, you get to do so many things. One of my favorite things is getting to do stunts, so I love getting to do all the action and stuff.
I would say same kind of as Maddie's answer, but like you get to explore a lot of different emotions as you don't get to in some other genres, and you get to be covered in blood and scream and cry, which is, sounds miserable, but it's fun when you watch the movie. And I don't know, there's nothing like going to a movie theater and watching, especially a horror movie, in theaters. I just think that's super fun. So.
I think being able to portray a villain, it was really cool to be able to scare people. I've never had to do that before. Before Megan, I primarily worked in a lot of comedy, so it was like, make the people laugh, but now this time was make the people scream. And that was really, really fun. So I think that was the best part, is being able to bring out a new emotion in audiences that I'd never done before.
For Maddie and Violet, growing up in the industry together, do you find yourselves inspiring each other?
Yeah, every day.
Yeah,
We've
every
always
single
given
day.
each other advice and tips, and it's just always easier to have a little.
It really
person.
is. Yeah, getting to like bounce off each other, especially in interviews
Yeah.
and stuff. I would not have it any other way.
And it makes the journey more fun as well, because
Yeah.
we travel a lot together, which is always so fun.
Yeah, no, I think of her like my comfort animal. So it's like going places with her, I'm never nervous. I have no anxiety whenever I'm with her, but then when I'm not, I'm a disaster. So,
Okay. Okay.
Do you guys study lines together?
of course.
Yes, especially
Yeah.
when we're in like the same movie as well.
Yeah. No, she gets annoyed at me sometimes because I'm kind of an over-preparer. It kind of depends what role I'm doing, but usually I just go over my lines like all the time.
For
And
hours.
She's like, I'm like, Val, can we go over them again? She's like, Maddie, no, you're fine. You know them. I'm like, sorry. I just, like,
we have different preparations.
preparation
Yeah.
techniques. Yeah, for sure.
It's okay though.
Yeah, if you guys haven't seen Curse of the Necklace on Tubi, you can check it out right now. You can see exactly what they're talking about. It is outstanding. We'll talk a little bit about that as we move on. Good work, guys. It's really, really good. It's killer. So, Violet, you were, 6 years old when you did Hill House?
Yeah.
I think.
Yes.
Do you have still like vivid memories of it all? Do you?
It's funny, I feel like I remember things like a longer time ago better than things that just happened yesterday.
Oh.
Wow.
I don't know like what's my favorite there, but yeah, I remember haunting Hill House super well, and I think that has something to do with that. It was like my first big role
Right.
that really helped my career, so I think that's how I remember it pretty well.
Sure. And then Mike Flanagan has been always known as someone who directs kids in a very unique, down-to-earth way. He doesn't talk down to kids and manages to get just incredible performances out of all of you. What do you remember about maybe something he told you directly that really resonated with you or helped you find
Mike is just such an amazing director that it was always so amazing to be on set with him. But I was 6 years old at the time, and there was so much going on in this one scene that was like a full one take scene, and it was like a minute scene or something like that.
Yeah.
And he has a lot of patience. Even though we were 6 years old, he has so much patience with everyone on set, and always comes to set with a great attitude and just super talented. And he's made such other amazing films as well. He's amazing.
So you're talking about, was it that episode, Two Storms? Was the name of the episode on Hill House, where it was like a long 17-minute
Yes.
non-stop take, right? And the set was kind of built, well, it would go into other sets in the past. So they were jumping different eras and everything all in one shot. So you guys have to rehearse that choreography.
We had to
pull
rehearse
that
it
off.
for sure. We had a full TV screen where we would watch kind of an example, so what we would do on the day, and then we did a little rehearsal on the soundstage. And may I just say, Haunting of Hill House had the coolest soundstage. That whole house on the inside is completely real, like full 2-story mansion, crazy. And then we had that funeral home, that was all real, and that led into the house as well, which is crazy.
Young Nell is the heart of Hill House. Do you remember any scene that felt especially challenging or transformative for you, even at that young age?
There's 2, I think, that I can think of. There's one where I'm on the couch, and then the bent neck lady is just hanging over me while I'm like asleep, and I had to like breathe really heavily because that's creepy. And it was just, I was only 6 years old, so I just wanted to, I'm kind of a perfectionist in some ways, so I just really wanted to make the scene perfect. But then again, I was like 6 years old, and so that was one of the scenes for sure. And then there was this car scene where we had to like leave our mom because our dad thought she was crazy, which she kind of was, but it's okay. And then we're in the car and we have no idea what's going on, so we're like screaming and crying. And again, it was like cold in Atlanta at nighttime, and I just really wanted to stay in the moment and scream and cry. So those are 2 memories there for sure. Oh, and then after we filmed the scene, it was my birthday a couple days after. So after I was screaming and crying, the whole crew and cast sung me happy birthday. So it's okay.
And Maddie, were you on set? Were you able to see her go through all this stuff?
I was able to visit her for like a short time. I don't know if I got to see her do
The
any
harder
like
scenes,
the like really emotional scenes, but she did give me a tour of the house, and it was pretty
In the dark.
terrifying. In the dark,
Wow,
yeah,
that's
it was
the
pitch
best.
black. They had no lights on. It was terrifying. And then I remember after getting the tour from her, and then when the show came out, I was like, oh, that's so cool. I was there, you know. It was awesome.
So fun. So we'll dive into your work actually with Scott Derrickson's The Black Phone, an exceptional film, an exceptional performance as Gwen. Tell us a bit about what it took to bring her to life, and how did Scott Mason and Jeremy Davies help you find her?
Honestly, for the first film, I felt like I could relate to her in so many ways. So it was really great to put a lot of myself into Gwen, especially when it comes to being there for Finny, because I am a very big defender of all my siblings, and I don't like when people mess with them. So it was great to put a lot of that into Gwen as well, especially when it came to her relationship with her dad. I would say that's definitely where it got hard for me, because my relationship with my dad is like my best friend. I love my dad so much. And so I feel like going into the relationship with Jeremy, I was a little nervous because I wanted to portray it in the right way, but Jeremy is such a fantastic actor, and we had a lot of conversations with Scott about their dynamic as well. And I just think it all came together so beautifully on screen in like kind of a awful way, I guess. But no, it was great. But in the second film, I'd say I actually had a lot harder time finding Gwen again, because, you know, we both grew up. And so it's like, I'd say I grew up in some different ways. Different environment, in some different ways than Gwen did. So finding her again was a lot more difficult, but I think with her transformation, you know, getting to put on that wig definitely helped a lot. Like, as soon as I put on that wig, I felt exactly like her again. I was like, okay, yep, I feel like kind of insecure and stuff, so this is perfect. But no, yeah, it was hard to find her the second time around, but I feel like before filming, after having, Scott is such a fantastic director, and he feels like us as actors, we know a lot more about our characters than anyone else, so his trust really helped me a lot with my confidence in playing her again. coming back to her.
And I'd love to get into that one scene that you have with Jeremy.
Yes.
It's hard to watch. I mean, when we watched it together, Scarlett, what did you think of that scene?
Yeah, what you did, it was so just real and
Thank you.
scary. What was it like that day?
It was definitely quiet on set, for sure. You could hear like a pin drop because no one wanted to like interfere with this scene. I remember a few minutes before we started filming it, Scott and I went into another room to have a conversation about like what we were about to film, and this was after we had choreographed most of it because I wanted it to come out right. Scott told me about his experience with that, with what was going on in the scene specifically, and I think that helped a lot because it made me so emotional thinking about it. And when I play characters, I really do put myself in their shoes, so I really just gave it my all and what my reaction would be like in that scene. And I remember when I was saying my dreams are just dreams, the last time I said it, with more defiance, that was the first take that we did.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, on the day. And Scott was like, Maddie, the way you said the last line, like, please continue to do that for the rest of the takes. That was perfect. I was like, okay, thank you.
So you do that multiple takes?
Yeah,
of that?
we did it multiple times. My voice was completely
Well,
gone.
how many times would you say?
I lost count.
Really?
Yeah, and it was so awful because after doing it, I had to go back and to do school and like read a book.
The worst part.
I was like, girl, I cannot do this right now. I was not in the right headspace. But my teacher was so great. She like let me have the book and just put it on my head, and I went right to sleep.
Jeez.
Yeah, it was definitely a heavy day for sure.
That brings up just an interesting question for all of you in dealing with these, horror genre in particular, and putting yourself, believing so hard in the scene that you even trick your body into believing it's real and your emotions.
Yeah.
Where does that go after? Does it build up over time to just put yourself through that over and over again?
For me, I'd say it was much easier to take myself out of it when I was younger. Like, especially with that one specific scene, I feel like I was able to kind of recover from it fairly fast. But the older I've gotten, especially with some of the scenes in Black Phone 2, there was this one specific scene, everything that was going on in it was just so heavy for me to deal with, and I feel like I've never had to really deal with something like that. So I feel like I got really into the character that I couldn't really take myself out. It took me I'd say 2 days of just being sad after. It was hard to recover from that one, but usually I'm skipping around on set after.
Right.
That one,
Yes,
that
right.
was different for sure.
What about you, Violet?
Well, in The Curse of the Necklace, I remember I had this one scene where I broke my arm, and that was probably one of the hardest scenes I've ever had to get into and the hardest to get out of, because it was super hot in Atlanta, and I had to breathe really heavily and scream and cry, and I even made my sister emotional.
Yeah,
on
it was
accident.
hard to watch. I've never watched her cry on camera before, so it was really bad. It messed with my mind.
And I hate broken bones too, so just the thought of that also made me a little emotional.
She was crying getting the prosthetic on.
Anyways, besides that, I really just listened to Taylor Swift to get out of that whole emotion area. But other than that, yeah, I'm good.
And how about you, Jenna?
I would say there's a film that I've been coming up called Stay at Home, and it's a horror film, and I have to do a lot of crying and bawling for it, and kind of like Maddie said, they kind of just have you do it over and over and over again until either you lose your voice or there's no more tears coming out of your eyes, because I realize, I think with crying is you kind of can run out of tears.
Yeah. You gotta stay hydrated.
Yeah, you gotta stay hydrated and make sure you're all good. But for me, I remember in that film in particular, it's not out yet, so I'm not gonna spoil it, but there's a lot of tears. And for me, I felt very emotionally exhausted after. I think it takes a lot out of you, especially if you put your whole self into it, because it feels very real. So I think after that, I felt pretty exhausted, but then again, you have fake blood on you and you have all this stuff on you, so then it feels not so real. But I always try to get myself out of the environment after to kind of separate, because when you're in for me in particular, I was in like this dark closet with it's just myself and the cameraman in this like dark closet. It feels very real. So you kind of have to separate yourself from that. Either just like go outside, get some vitamin D, or for me personally, I love going to Crafty, which is what they call
Food
it.
place on set.
Yeah, it's like basically where you get all your food and snacks on set, and so for me, I'll always go out there and just like hang there for a while. They always get to know me pretty well because they're really good food.
So Black Phone 2, October 17th.
Yes.
There's probably not much you can say about it, but can you just say maybe about your reaction to reading the script and what made you excited to return to her?
For sure. I know already in like some interviews that I've done, I've almost spoiled like parts. And I like have to catch myself. I'm like, no, Maddie, shut up. That has not been announced yet. Like I can't say anything, so I get really scared talking about it.
That's exciting
But
though.
yes, no, I'm literally so excited for this movie to come out, and I am so excited for all of you guys to see it. I cannot wait to see everyone's reactions. I hope everyone loves it. But yes, with the script, I remember talking to my family about like what the heck it was going to be about. Because of the ending in the first one, I was like, how would they do a second one? Like, just how? And so we were coming up with our own conspiracy theories, and I was seeing like people online, their theories were so good and creative. But then I'm pretty sure I was the second one to read the script after Ethan.
Okay.
So when Scott sent it to me, I was in shock reading it. Like every single page, my jaw just dropped, and I was like, this is so genius. Him, Scott, and Cargill they are so beyond talented, and their writing is so incredible. The stories they tell in 115 pages or something like that is just so impressive. I swear, you will get attached to not just obviously the characters that have been in the script, but I can't wait for everyone to meet the new characters because you will just instantly fall in love with each and every one of them.
Oh, I love it.
I'm so
That
excited.
is so exciting.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about Jenna, I guess, going into Megan and joining the Blumhouse family, really. And because this feels like a filmmaking family.
It really is. We definitely every actor that's been in a Blumhouse movie, whenever we see each other on red carpets, we're like, hey, Blumhouse family,
Right.
what's up?
That is so cool. So yeah, talk about just getting the chance to do it, the audition. I mean, you said you did it in your closet.
Yeah.
Was there anything that you remember that maybe you did on purpose in a unique way, an interesting choice that you made that you think was the thing, or maybe they even told you was the thing that got you that gig?
Sure. So I originally thought that Megan was a video game when I got the audition because they didn't really specify too much about it. All I really knew was a character named Megan. She was a robot, and she kind of goes a little crazy. That's all they really told me in the brief. And so when I read the script, I was really confused because I thought it was really a lot of dialogue for a video game. I was really confused. I was like, usually video game characters don't talk this much. They usually have a couple of lines and then it's on to the next, but she just talked a lot. And so when I thought about a robot, I thought, okay, well, when we think about robots at that time in our society, it was like Siri and Alexa and the people that you see at the airport. They're like, oh, I don't know, you think they're very monotone and they kind of talk like this. And when I was reading the dialogue, I thought it would, because of how much dialogue it was, and because I noticed that the character had more personality than any robot I'd ever met before, I wanted to make sure that I just kind of tried something different. A technique that I like to do when I do auditions is just make a choice that's probably far different than anybody else auditioning for it, because my thing is if I send an audition and casting sees it and it's completely different from anything else they're seeing, they could either like it or they could either not like it, but at least they'll remember me for it. And even if it's not that part that I'm supposed to get, maybe some way along down the road, they can be like, oh yeah, that was the girl that did that weird thing. That's kind of my motto. So when I read for Megan and I noticed her quirkiness and her sass, I thought, okay, I'm just gonna make this a robot with sass and personality, but I'm not gonna make her sound like a traditional robot because the amount of dialogue that she has, I feel like it'd be really boring if she just talked like a Siri or Alexa the whole time. So I'm like, I'm just gonna try something new. So I sat in my bedroom floor closet on this app called Twisted Wave that I record all my voiceover auditions on. And I was like, okay, I'm just gonna give this a go. And so I did. I pretty much how she sounds in the film is how I did the audition for her, because I was like, I'm just gonna go for this. Hopefully they like it. And I sent it in, and then it took some time for me to hear back, and then they kept on calling me back to send more. So they sent more dialogue, and then they asked if I could sing, and I was like, sure. And I remember it was kind of funny because the first singing clip I got was actually our director Gerard, and he's like, I'm a terrible singer, but I'm just sending you this because this is what I think it would sound like, but make it sound like you. And bless his heart, but it was like the most off-key thing I've ever heard in my entire life. And so my mom is a voice coach, so she taught me voice and piano when I was younger. So I sat down with my mom in this like clip of Gerard singing off tune, and it was the song for Tell Me Your Dreams from the first film. And so I sat down with it and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna completely not do what Gerard did and like try to come up with my own version of this song, because bless his heart, but it was just not good. And he told me that. He's like, I'm not a singer. I was like, it's okay. So I sent him my tape and he's like, wow, this is really great. This is really good. Now I want to meet with you on Zoom. So we meet with him on Zoom, and I was basically just told we're going to talk about the character. So usually what that means is like, you're not booking it, you're just like moving on, and you're kind of like, you're getting closer and closer. Like, I don't feel like you're ever safe in acting until you're on set. So I'm here having this Zoom with him, and he's like, we're just going to talk about it. So I'm here thinking like, okay, maybe I need to like prepare more. And he's like, no, we're just going to talk about her. What do you think? And I was like, I think she's great. I really like her. And he's like, okay, well, are you ready? And I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, well, like, you know, you booked it, right? And I was like, I did? Like, no one told me. He's like, oh, I probably wasn't supposed to tell you. Pretend I never told you. And I was like, oh, great. Okay, cool. Great Zoom. And he's like, okay, I'm not supposed to tell you. Your team will probably call you or Blumhouse or somebody. And I'm like, okay, great. So I think he spilled the beans before he was supposed to, but I hopped off the Zoom and I was screaming around my room. I was like, I booked it, so I think. So I called my manager and I was like, usually your manager calls you, but I called my manager and I was like, hey, so I think I just booked it because Gerard told me I booked it, but maybe I didn't. Can you double, triple check? Because I don't want to get too excited. She's like, he told you booked it? I was like, yeah, I think I did. And so they called each other, figured it out, and they called me back, and they were like, yeah, you booked it. But it was a very unconventional, unorthodox way to book a movie, but that was my experience, and it was really, really fun.
That's amazing. And now you're up there in the echelons with Jason and Freddie and everybody
yeah,
else.
That's
You're
really
an icon.
Crazy. Thank you. That's really crazy. I think I didn't really realize how passionate the horror community was, and I feel very grateful that everyone has accepted Megan in the way that they have, because it was very terrifying for me. I was like, what if people hate my voice, or what if people don't think she's scary or funny or anything? But you guys did, so thanks.
I'm very curious, is there any small mic technique that you've developed or something that you do in particular with your voice, whether it be a smile when you say a certain vowel or a way that you say a T or something that turns cute into creepy that you've figured out?
I mean, I think in particular with Megan, we played a lot with inflections of the voice. So we would do things where we'd get kind of quieter and she would be a bit more kind of like Sweet But Psycho. And so with her, especially in the first film, we did this purposefully, and then you can notice in the second film as well. In the first, she goes from, in the beginning of the film, she sounds a bit younger, and then as the film progresses, her voice tone lowers, and my voice gets a little bit deeper. And that was purposeful, because as AIs evolve, we wanted Megan to evolve. Same thing in the first film. The singing in that film, especially for Titanium and Tell Me Your Dreams, they told me to sing Sesame Street, and they wanted me to sing Kermit the Frog. And for someone who's also pursuing a country music career, that was very intimidating, because I was like, everyone's gonna think I'm a terrible singer. But it was great, because in the second film, they're like, okay, we want you to actually sing like you now. And I was like, okay, yay! So her singing also evolved. So I think with Megan in particular, we liked to play around with ways that we could evolve her throughout the beginning of the film all the way till the end. So whether that was an inflection or a voice change, or just even how her relationship differs between Gemma and Katie, that was also something very different. I wanted to make sure that the tones with Violet were very different than how they were with Allison, because she's programmed to protect Katie, so that's purposeful, and her care for her and her empathy for her is there. But it's also tricky because robots are not supposed to have emotion. So you have to like find it of like, okay, well, how is she supposed to like protect this person and love this person if she's technically not allowed to have emotions? So that was like a whole other debacle and battle that I could go on for hours about, but yeah.
Violet, what was it like for you working on set? Like, was the Megan doll actually there, or was Jenna's voice there? Like, how did that work?
So in the first film, at first, it was not Jenna's voice.
It was a temp voice, right?
Yeah, it was a completely different voice. It was definitely not hers. So I was working with another robotic voice, I guess we could say. And the doll was real. There was like a real animatronic doll, which is insane. And at first, for the first couple of weeks, I was like, oh yeah, she's terrifying. But like, since I had to work with her for 3 months, I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to get used to it. So I did, and now we're best friends, so it's okay.
All of you have worked on such amazing projects. Did any of you get to keep anything from any of the productions you've been in? Costumes, props, something that meant something to you?
I've gotten to keep a couple things. I got to keep a little stuffed, My Little Pony stuffed animal from Black Widow, I believe, that I have in the beginning. And then I also got to keep my little stuffed animal from the first Megan, which is still on my bedroom right now. And it's a jelly cat, and I love jelly cats, so perfect.
Okay, I think I can say this, but I'm kind of scared. In his second black phone, yo, I'm low-key scared.
Yeah, she's looking over at her
God.
phone. She's like,
Mom, can I say this? Do you know what I'm talking about? You know the bag that I have in my room with those two things in it?
Just don't say it.
Maybe I won't say it, but I kept something from Black Phone 2, and
Cool.
it's two prosthetics, you can say.
Okay, very cool.
Awesome.
You know what I'm talking about? I can say that, right? Okay. I like am hitting something in the second movie with my fist, and to protect my fists, they made me these prosthetic hands and that I would like put over my actual hands, and
They look
so
real.
cool. I have like a time-lapse video that I'm gonna post soon. I can't wait. Post all the BTS from Black Phone 2. But yeah, so it was so crazy because they look so real. Like everyone
Are
on
they like
set.
molds of your
yes,
hands?
they're like literal like prosthetic molds of my hands, and they like feel like real skin. It's disgusting, but I had to keep them.
Yeah,
I
of
was
course.
like, and it's so funny because all the people from the hair and makeup trailer would like keep putting them on their hands, and like some people would leave them on their chairs, so it'd just be like my fist just like sitting there. It was so funny. And then I remember like the last day on set, or the second to last day on set, the prosthetics trailer was leaving and packing up, and I was like, I didn't get my fists, like I need my hands. And so then the last day on set, they brought them back for me so I could keep them. And so, yep, now they're just, my fists are sitting on my shelf in my room. It's awesome.
Jenna, did you get anything?
Because I was in this like recording booth for most of my work, I didn't really get anything from the set, but I now have like a Megan shrine in my house. We have the 4-foot Megan doll in the Barbie box. She's there. I have like obviously the record that I love. We have like 5 Megan stuffies. We have the little Funko Pop. I'm trying to think what else. I just got a Megan Chia pet. That was really cool. I don't know. I just got it in the mail one day and I don't know who it was from, so I'm kind of scared, but I'm really honored. I just all of a sudden opened it up. I was like, oh my gosh, I got a Chia pet. But I don't know who it was from. So yeah, the Megan Shrine keeps going. My family and I have this joke that like many years from now, like I'm just gonna have like a Megan room in the house, and people are just gonna have to be cool with it. So I'm like, future husband, like you're just gonna have to be fine with this, just up in the house. So yeah, it's a whole shrine. She owns the house, but yeah, my family's very scared of the 4-foot doll, so they asked that I keep her in the closet, in her Barbie box. But sometimes she comes out to play. I like to prank people and put her in the closet, and yeah, it was really. I've done it a couple times. It's real fun, and I also like to put her in the carpool lane when I'm driving in LA.
Oh, that's smart.
Technically, it counts as two. Like technically, I think like if a police like car is driving by, he's gonna think it's another person, and usually I drive it myself a ton because I'm just driving around LA, and there's always traffic, so I'm like, thank you, Megan, for saving me time. Or the drive-thru. I went through the McDonald's drive-thru to get a McFlurry I love McFlurries.
Oh, did you order
And,
the Megan voice?
I actually did. I did, yes. And she was sitting there. I put her in the shotgun seat, and then I also put her in the back. I went around like 2 different times, kind of like a psychopath. But it was so much fun. And I like rolled down the window when she was sitting behind me, and I literally jump scared the McDonald's worker, and it was really, really fun. But she almost spilled my McFlurry, which was not fun. But other than that, it was really fun. And yeah, she's very useful. So if you guys want to do that with yours, I highly recommend. Life hack.
Whatever happened to the awesome painting of you and Megan?
I have that in my house.
You got to have
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
That
A
is
little
so
mini
great.
version of it. It's a little creepy.
Yeah.
It's cool and creepy at the same time.
That is awesome. And what about like just the use of your voice? Having to do something where, I mean, I've gone through this doing voiceover for Disney before where you're abusing your voice almost. Like do another take, do another take, do another take.
Yeah.
Sometimes your vocal cords will swell. Is there like different exercises or anything that you've learned in voicing Megan in the process that takes that has strengthened your voice and maybe even bled over to make you a better singer even?
Totally. Well, when we were recording for Megan, we always had green apples right next to me.
Interesting.
Because if ever I would start talking too much, and this is kind of gross, but like when you talk too much, saliva kind of enters the mouth. And green apples, when you bite them, they make the saliva go away. So whenever I would be talking, because I remember one line specifically in the first Megan, Gerard had me do 30 different ways. Because he was like, no, like the thing with him is like he knows, he knew what he wanted, but if it wasn't exactly how it sounded, he's like, no, we're just gonna keep doing it different ways. So yeah, we would do like, I remember that one 30 different times, and after that, I think I probably bit like 5 green apples. And they'll also just be like, apple, like we'd be recording and they're like, stop, apple. And that was the thing. But yeah, I think that was like a weird thing that we had to do while recording. But I guess to preserve my voice, on days that we would do Megan work, I would try not to talk as much. Because I don't know if you guys knew this, but your vocal cords are actually the size of your fingernail. So it's very, very important, especially on the singing side of things, to preserve your vocal cords and like be on what they call vocal rest. So for voiceover specifically, on days that I knew I would have like 4 or 6 hour sessions, I would usually just not talk, and I'd kind of be mean to my family, just like, okay guys, I'm on vocal rest, and just be like silent. But yeah, I mean, other than that, there is like vocal steamers and all that type of jazz, but I think like the best thing that you can do is just kind of not talk, drink a lot of fluids. It kind of sounds like when you're sick, it's like drink tea, drink fluids, and just don't talk, but that's always kind of what I did. But I think I'm just a very big talker in general, so for me, I never felt like too exhausted after. Like I would always be like, okay, I'm good, like just keep talking. So I'm probably not the best example of being on vocal rest because I just talk too much, but I don't know.
What's been your favorite line to read as Megan, if you have one?
Ooh, let's see. Okay, my favorite line to, like when I am out in public and people always ask me to do her voice is like, it's nice to meet you. Do you want to hang out? Like that's my favorite because it was just from the first film and it was like so sentimental and sweet and it feels like very personal to the person. For the second film, obviously like the hold on to your vaginas line was like way out there for me. And we had to read so many other lines. And every time that there was a curse word, we had to come up with a bunch of words that were non-curse words. And it'd be like fiddlesticks or fuddle pie or like all these like really weird words I've never heard in my life. So I think any of those weird things, I think it was really fun because Megan just didn't really care. She just said anything and everything. And I think she would say a lot of things that me personally, Jenna, wouldn't say in public. Yeah, like my grandma like texted me after the trailer came out and she's like, did you say what I think you said? And I was like, yeah, Nana, I did. So I don't know. I think that one was fun. And just also just uncanny and like weird and I don't know, unique. And I don't think people expected it.
Yeah, exactly.
I did not expect that.
Was there ever a time when you get to act to picture in the booth, like, or do you go on set ever? Especially when it comes to 2.0, right? When you've already kind of established who Megan is.
Yeah, the first film, everything was like post-production, so I was acting till I saw like everything on screen in front of me, and then some of the times, most of the time, because that one was already done, I had to lip match. Yeah, that was like kind of tricky, but I've done a lot of ADR work in the past, so it felt natural. But a lot of the times in the second film, I came before, so I was able to record before they even started filming. So I didn't have any visuals of anything of what it was going to look like, so I didn't really get to see it until they were doing reshoots, and I was able to see like what everything looked like. And if you watch the second film, you notice that it's quite different from the first, and there was a lot of visuals that are very different and a lot of more action scenes. So that was a surprise to me because I could tell from the script, but it's different when you're reading on a page versus you're actually seeing what they already filmed. So I did a bit of anything and everything. In the second film, they would put a camera right next to my mouth and just like film my mouth so they could CGI that onto Megan's mouth.
Yeah.
So.
And when did you and Violet get a chance to meet for the first time?
We did not meet till the first premiere.
Yeah.
Really? So not even during the production of the first movie, you never?
No.
Because we didn't really know who was going to voice it yet.
Wow.
I came really late in the game.
So you guys had already filmed all the picture
Yeah,
stuff,
it
and
was
then she
done.
came at the end. Wow.
So that was our first. I didn't meet any of the cast till the first
Yeah,
premiere.
that was your first time.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
which was really insane because I felt like I knew them, and that was really weird because I've been working with them. I'm watching them on the screen, like I felt like I knew you guys. So when I met you, I was like, oh yeah, like I've already known you. And then I was like, wait, I actually never met them before. That's crazy.
That is so wild. And then obviously we're talking about 2.0, how the tone is very different. It's like it's an action movie basically.
Yeah.
And Violet, for you, it required a lot of physical performances, stunts, taekwondo, you know. So what was that like getting ready for that?
It was definitely a transition because Katie does not do any of those things in the first film. I was a little bit nervous, like I felt like there was a little bit of pressure, but the stunt team made every stunt and piece of Aikido I did go very smoothly because I got to learn how to like break someone's wrist, how to like turn someone's arm and then like punch them in the stomach. I also tased someone, but obviously that was fake. And then Katie also does soccer in the second film, which we didn't show any of that unfortunately, but I play soccer in real life, so that was really fun. But yeah. Oh, I also did some harness work, which I love to do my own stunts. I got to do a lot of my own stunts in the second film because in the first one, I just like fell onto a mat again.
Megan 2.0 really makes us think about AI, and for me as a high schooler, AI is already being built into our daily school lives, and it's only going to continue to grow from here. How do you guys feel about AI, especially the positives of it?
I think it's scary and cool at the same time. I don't know, it's hard.
It's hard. I think like anything in life, there's pros and cons.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
And so I think it's interesting. I think it's fearful as creatives because we don't want them to replace what we do because we love what we do so much. But we have seen in many ways how AI has helped people medically and in many different facets. So I think for me personally, it's kind of like a teeter-totter. Some days I'm like, oh yeah, this is cool. And other days I'm like, oh my gosh, is there going to be a Megan in real life?
Yeah, that's so true though, because like I feel like there are so many pros and cons to AI. When it comes to our industry and stuff, like thinking of them like replacing actors with AI, it just, in my opinion, makes no sense because there's literally nothing close to a real human emotion, and like seeing that raw emotion on screen, you can't match that. Like especially with AI, in my opinion.
And speaking of school, how do you handle it when filming? Like, is it something you enjoy, or is it more of an obstacle with your work?
I don't enjoy school at all. So no. But it's just the only thing that's honestly hard is when we go from a super emotional scene to having to do math. Like, that's literally, it's always the worst. And I don't usually fall behind, but if I'm on set for a very long time, like, it's sometimes hard to keep up.
For me, usually before filming, I'll get like all my schoolwork done ahead of time, just so I have like no work to do on set. Like I'll obviously still have a teacher with me, and so, but that way I can like relax and do something that I actually want to do. School's fine, it's whatever, I guess. I love reading, so English and all that is stuff I really enjoy, but man, but no, yeah, that's something I'm very envious of adult actors when it comes to that, because they can really just stay in character and stay in the moment when they're on set. Go rest in their trailer, go decompress, and like we literally have to go do schoolwork.
Yeah, that kind of. Jenna, do you ever had any experience having to?
I mean, as someone who transitioned from like having to do school on set to not having to do school on set, I can say it's really great. But you also frequent Crafty a lot more often, and it's very different. Like I was working on a Disney show a couple months ago called Vampirina that I'm going to be in coming up. And all the other kids were in school, and I was not. And I was like, wow, like, this is kind of great. But then, like, all of them were, like, in their schoolrooms. And I was like, oh, this is kind of sad. Like, now I'm, like, I felt so old. But, you know, I think it's nice. I mean, I know how that's like getting your hours of school in. It's not particularly fun. No, it's really not. But, yeah, I'll tell you, it gets better.
Thanks. Looking forward to it.
So we want to kind of end up, we got to talk about Curse of the Necklace. We just recently seen it. It's incredible. You guys get to do so much freaking fun stuff in that. For instance, just dealing with mounds of prosthetics and you getting
possessed
and getting barfed on with gallons of blood.
That was crazy. It was so fun getting to do that, especially getting to be executive producers was such a cool experience.
It was also our first film that we ever got to do together.
Yeah, so
which was crazy.
Working alongside each other for the first time was so interesting because it's like, you know, we obviously are sisters, so we grew up with each other, and we're just playing 24/7. Our imaginations were so big, still are, but it kind of felt like we were just playing.
Yeah.
Like at times, not when we were doing crying scenes, obviously.
Like pushing each other.
Yeah, and like getting in fights and stuff. But no, it was definitely a really cool experience, especially getting to see how she prepares and like her techniques and what she uses to get in the moment. That was really cool to watch. Getting to learn all the different sides. When it comes to being an executive producer, like getting to learn what every single person does on set. Getting to scout locations was so interesting. Knowing that they have like 4-hour calls about one object is crazy to me. On this other project that we just did together, I got to learn more about the editing side of things, and my respect for editors has just gone up through the roof, because I don't know how they sit in that booth for like 7 hours to just change like 2 seconds of the movie. It's crazy. I have so much more respect for every single person on set. Like, a movie seriously does not function unless everyone is giving it their all.
Yeah. And so was that you like flailing around like there's one scene it looks like you hit the couch pretty hard.
Yeah, so that was, I got to do all my own stunts in that movie. It was so much fun. Once again, stunts are like my favorite thing ever. So I've also never played like a possessed character before. So when I was like doing the seizure thing that I had to do, I like was practicing it in my trailer, and I was like, Mom, does this look real? Like, does this look like I'm being possessed? She was like, I mean, I don't know, that's something for the director. But no, I did it, and they were like, whoa, Maddie, that was actually scary. Like, what? How did you do that? But no, it was so fun. It was so different for me too. And then getting to like throw up, I've also never done that. That was also really cool. Kind of disgusting though. Yeah. Not a fan of like the stuff
what
that
was
they
it?
put.
What was it?
It was corn on the cob mixed with like
cold.
it was mixed with like this juice though. It was disgusting. Could not wait to get that out of my mouth. But no, yeah. Also, the blood scene was crazy. It was so fun.
Yeah,
it was really slippery because they have different bloods for like every single scene that you do. They have
there's like mouth blood, eye
face blood, eye blood, whatever. Yeah. You know, just like regular blood that they put on the floor. Obviously fake. But no, for that scene, I don't even know what kind of blood it was, but they had it coming out of this like this container or something, and it was connected to Christina's mouth, and then when it like who plays one of the characters in the movie, and she was also a producer on the movie. Yeah. It all like went onto my face and got in my mouth, and I was like trying so hard not to start choking. And then when I got up, I almost like slipped and ate it.
Dude, I remember that was my first time ever getting covered in blood for any movie.
It was cold.
And so I was in my pajamas and it was freezing and they were spraying it. It was all over me. And they were like, it isn't eye blood, so don't get it in your eyes. So I'm like, okay. They're like, okay, I think you can open your eyes now. I open my eyes. I go blind. I cannot see anything for a solid few seconds.
Were you wearing contacts in that scene, by the way?
No, that's edited.
Okay.
And when I saw that too, I was like, when did
You were
when
like,
did that
Oh, I couldn't see. They
So
put it in.
yeah, that was an experience.
It was so funny because she couldn't see it. They had to like lead her up the stairs.
Yeah, I
and,
went
like,
upstairs and it was freezing.
it was crazy. But no, that's like some of our favorite stuff to do. So as like gross and disgusting as it is, it's also fun.
Yeah.
So Maddie, your kiss with David in that film, was that your first on-screen kiss? And
Yes,
was that
it
awkward?
It was, right? My
It
first
was,
on-screen
yeah.
kiss. Yeah, no, it was my first on-screen kiss. But honestly, when it comes to like kisses on camera, for me, I just like think of it as work, like as acting. I don't think of it as anything else. So like, yeah, I guess of course there are some nerves like with the first kiss and whatever, but once you get it out of the way, it's literally nothing. And it's like, in my opinion, I really do put myself in the character, so I just think of it as them, like it's not me at all.
Yeah. And you also smoked a cigarette in that film?
That was harder than the fake kiss. That was harder than the fake kiss, in my opinion. It was so unnatural to me, I feel, and I still feel like I could have done it a little better in the movie. But Judith, she's supposed to be uncomfortable with it anyway, so I guess it worked. She'd never done it before. But yeah, no, that was interesting. They were fake cigarettes, but they smelled like real ones. And it like, oh my god, the smell like seeped into our clothes and like on our skin and everything. Showering was amazing that night. But no, that was definitely so fun. And we practiced a little before the scene too, like breathing it in, then like, blowing it out. It was interesting. It was definitely different, for sure.
Also, kind of a random question for Jenna. I actually met you once at my local Menchie's.
That does not shock me.
If you could make like a flavor inspired by Megan with like toppings and stuff from Menchie's, what would that look like?
I think we should do that. I'm like the biggest Menchie's fan literally ever. Like actually, I almost got kidnapped at a Menchie's once. True story, and it was not a good story because it did almost happen. But all my friends were laughing at me because they said that like that's where I would get kidnapped. It's like it'd be like Jenna Davis, last scene at Menchie's. Like that's literally what would happen. So I have a long backstory with Menchie's, but I do love them, and I literally went like 2 days ago, so it's fine. But if I could create a flavor for Megan, okay, so I feel like obviously it'd have to be like something pink, right?
Yeah, like cotton candy or
yeah, like something in there.
colorful.
I mean, I feel like Megan would probably name it Katie. Realistically, like, she probably would, or she'd name it after herself. Either or, but that is literally, I think, one of the best questions anyone's ever asked me. Because I'm literally such a proponent for Menchie's. I also split time in Nashville because I have a house out there, and they don't have any frozen yogurt out there. So I've severely considered opening a Menchie's out there. So the fact that you bring that up is actually really comical because I'm very passionate about all things Menchie's.
I love that. And with spooky season coming up, do you guys have any Halloween traditions, like horror nights or something?
Oh,
We just went to Horror Nights on
Thursday
Thursday.
night of Horror Nights.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was so good this year.
It was
scary.
really scary, but
Good
no,
job.
yeah. Halloween Horror Nights has definitely become a major part of our Halloween traditions. We make sure we try and go every single year that we can. It is so much fun, especially to do with all of your friends and family. Our parents do not particularly love going to Horror Nights because they don't like to get scared, but our brothers and us love it. We do Halloween pajamas every single year, of course, and go trick-or-treating and stuff, so it's
Try
really,
to,
yeah.
if Maddie's not away.
Yeah, I'm usually gone for Halloween, so.
But only her.
It's so funny because every time one of us are working, it seems like I'm the only one that always misses out on Halloween. Like I'm always gone for Halloween. So, and she's like,
And Thanksgiving.
And so she's like, Maddie, are we gonna get to do a duo costume this year? She always like makes
1
me.
year, hopefully.
Hopefully, maybe 1 year.
And Jenna, how about you at Universal? I mean, Megan is a big presence there.
Yeah, it was so cool to be able to do the Terror Tram this year. That was super duper fun. I remember they pulled me in, we were doing like a marketing session, and they're like, oh, we're gonna have you on the Terror Tram this year, and I got to do all like, buckle your seatbelts and pull the red cord if something's wrong, and like all those like iconic lines that you hear just growing up as a kid. So that was really fun and really special, and also really cool to just like sit there. I went with my boyfriend this year, and he was like trying to be like, that's her, everyone. I'm like, stop it, like stop. It's fine, pay attention to the screen. But it's really fun, and it's really cool. And I think the fun thing about Megan is not everybody knows that I voice her, so I can kind of be undercover in that regard of like, hee hee, yeah, that's me up on the screen. So that's so special, and I think Horror Nights is really, really fun, especially when you can be incorporated into it in some regard. But I'm like also a big chicken when it comes to that, so I'm like the annoying person that's like behind you, that's like probably pushing you because I'm like so scared. But this year I actually did it better, and I slowed down, so I got all the scares. But the worst thing that I got scared of this year was a man in a bush costume. See, it wasn't even like anything else. It wasn't like the little devil things or anything coming out at me. It was a bush. Yeah, he was so good. That was the worst thing of the night for me. I was like, why was it a bush? It was that bush. So Bushman, whoever you are,
You got all of us.
you should get a pay raise, because that was nuts.
You guys, we won't take up any more of your time. Thank you so much for doing this. It's been a real
Thanks,
pleasure
this was so
to meet
fun.
you
Thank
guys.
you.
Everybody give it up. Jenna Davis, Violet Madeline, Violet McGraw. Thank you so much for coming. Enjoy